You're tuned in to Voiced Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast, a forum where we discuss and explore society-based topics while advocating and providing information and resources to the community through an unscripted, unfiltered, and authentic approach. Listen on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and Apple Music. Watch us on YouTube. Join our Facebook group. Follow us on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Voiced Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast, your society-based channel. Welcome to another episode of Voiced Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast. I'm your host, and my name is Danette Mahabeer-Turner. And today we have a very informative and special episode lined up for you. But before we get into that, we always take the time out to highlight our sponsors of each episode. So our title sponsor, I want to shout out to Evergreen's Plant Shop, Coffee House, and Wine Bar, located at 4677 Alben Barkley Drive, Paducah, Kentucky. Evergreens strive to provide an experience as well as a great cup of coffee. So stop in for a great experience today. Our episode sponsor for this episode is Paducah Goodwill Opportunity Center, located at 1601 Broadway Street, Paducah, Kentucky. And their services include, but are not limited to, career coaching, employment readiness training and certification, legal and expungement services, financial and budgeting support, just to name a few. Of course, you can watch Voice Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to that. You can listen on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Music, and Spotify. Be sure to join our Facebook group, Voice Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast, and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So the moment that you guys have all been waiting for, Season 3, Episode 8, the topic today, seeking, securing, and sustaining employment. I think this is a good one today. And our special guest is none other than Margie Silva. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Danette. It's good to be here.
Yes. You have all the resources that my listeners, my audience, will need that is very essential in our community today. So we're going to talk about that momentarily. But before we get into that, I want to take the time out to highlight our featured drinks that we got today, courtesy of Evergreens.
Ooh,
so
absolutely.
You have a beautiful drink. If you want to hold it up to the camera, you can do that.
Looks beautiful.
Look at that mushroom glass.
Yes, that's gorgeous.
That you have right there is the Stardust Lotus. So take a sip, tell the listeners and the viewers what you think.
That is absolutely delicious.
You need to give us 85 descriptions.
Yes, it is. It's perfect. Come by Evergreens and get one.
So once again, that's Stardust Lotus. So I'm having the white chocolate blackberry latte. See, I'm a lover of latte anyway, and it's hot. And I'm going to try a sip. So that's white chocolate blackberry latte. That is delicious.
Oh, I bet that is delicious.
My gosh.
Coffee's my love language. So.
Oh, I like that. So thanks again to Evergreens for these two amazing featured drinks. So we're going to get right into it. Tell us about your role at Paducah Goodwill Opportunity Center and more about the services offered there.
Absolutely. So I'm the Opportunity Center manager. I've been with Goodwill almost 17 years.
Wow.
So I've been around the block a time or two. So yeah, they can test me on a wealth of knowledge. But the services we provide is job seeking services, employment services, and training and development for individuals that are experiencing barriers to the traditional go get a job, you get hired, and all that good stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So our folks are experiencing possibly just getting out of incarceration, addiction recovery, domestic violence, the unhoused population, or individuals possibly that are on disability that may want to kind of dip their toe back into the workforce and maybe try to work, 20, 25 hours to supplement their income.
Wow.
So those are the individuals that we serve at the Opportunity Center.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot right there. And so who are some of your current partnering organizations that's helping you to fulfill this mission?
Oh my goodness. So we partner with just about every entity in Paducah.
Wow.
Career Center is a big partner of ours. And for the simple reason that if someone is able-bodied we're going to send them to the Career Center for services, right? Because the demographic that we serve needs a little extra love and attention, right? So we partner with all of the rehabilitation centers, Turning Point, Live Well, Merriman House, WKCTC,
Wow.
because we're offering certifications now at the Opportunity Center.
That is so amazing.
And we can pay for those certifications for individuals that are interested. So as long as they are a member of the Opportunity Center, wanting to make positive changes in their life, we're going to stand behind them, right? Right. We're not going to push them. We're not going to pull them, but we're going to walk beside them. And our coaches do that with them.
I love that. Love that. So we have, my husband and I, Loopy Larry's, sounds familiar, Soup Salad Center.
Oh my gosh. Danette. Yes. So let me just say that Loopy Larry's on the employment side has been a very big supporter of the individuals that we serve at Goodwill, and they love Loopy Larry's. And so do I.
We believe in second chances.
Absolutely.
You may have made a mistake in your past, and now, as you said, like a lot of the people that you guys are serving there are needing some support.
Right.
And so who are we to judge if somebody's willing to pick up the pieces and move forward?
Absolutely.
So it's been a true honor for us to have partnered with the Goodwill Opportunity Center, to help. And we've learned so much more about the services offered there through those employees, right?
Absolutely.
That's how I found out that, once you're working, you could take your pay stub and even get a bicycle or, tell us about that, laptop and stuff like that.
So absolutely. So not only do we have employment readiness classes, and by the way, some of those classes are paid.
That's
so
amazing.
We put some money in our clients' pockets while they're working on getting that job. But we have a bike program called Last Mile to Work, and that's for individuals with one paycheck. We're going to custom fit them to a bike. We measure them. They get all the safety equipment, the vest, the helmet, which nobody wears, by the way. Close your ears, Paducah Police. But the helmet, the lights, the horn, all that good stuff in this massive bike lock. So, because a lot of our folks don't even have locks to lock their bikes up.
Yeah.
So, and those bikes get stolen all the time. So we provide them with all that in a really nice backpack. And then after 3 months of employment, guess what? Goodwill can back the loan so that they may be able to get a vehicle.
Wow.
A sustainable vehicle that's going to get them back and forth to employment, right? Because as we know, transportation is a huge barrier for the demographic that we serve. And even you've seen that, I'm sure, with the employees at Loopy Larry's.
Yeah.
So after 3 months of employment, we can sit down with them and do a budget, right? Because it's not based on a credit score. It's going to be based on that individual's ability to pay. Because a lot of our folks struggle with that credit score and they feel like they're locked into these predatory lenders, these buy here, pay here places where they get a vehicle that is going to break down 2 or 3 weeks after they get it, and the payments are astronomical. And the interest rates are 30%, and they feel like that's their only recourse. So if there's any of the viewers out there feeling like that, please come by the Opportunity Center and, let us help you. Let us explore some things. We can work on budgeting and financing.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a very
Financial
good one.
literacy is a huge one for our clients, right? And a lot of times, they get their first few paychecks and they don't know how to budget this money. Some of them have never had money before. Some of them are going into the marine industry because those are other partners of ours, James Marine and Marquette. And all of a sudden they get these phenomenal paychecks for the first time. What are they going to do with that money? Are they going to make maybe some not so great choices? Possibly. So we want to get them and train them how to manage those paychecks.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're very
the topic today is seeking, securing, and sustaining. It's 3 different aspects. We could seek the job, we could secure the job. How do we sustain the job? So I have different category questions for you to help me answer today, just to provide resources, and you can feel free to tie that into what you guys offer, the services that you guys offer
Absolutely.
at the Paducah Goodwill Opportunity Center. What are the most effective strategies for job seekers to identify potential job opportunities today?
Okay. Well, a lot of job seekers now want to do the online platforms. You know, they automatically think of Indeed, you know, or some of those other job sites. You have to be really careful with those because a lot of those job sites, some of them aren't secure job sites, right? So that's not going to be the best place to go. Some of the postings on Indeed, not to knock Indeed, but they may be old postings. And it's really easy for folks to get discouraged, right? Because they say, I've sent in this resume, Margie, I've done all this. They haven't called me back. Well, 9 out of 10 times the employer hasn't even gotten their application through some of those portals, right? So we always like to train the individuals to get used to going to the actual job website, the actual employer website, because you can apply on there. Usually there's a career section and they're more apt to see that resume.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. So what are some tips for building a strong professional network? And I know this is a crucial one, you know, building a professional network.
Yes. Getting used to talking with people, going up to people and introducing yourself. We actually have a networking event built in to our Work Ready class.
Wow.
And we do that because a lot of the individuals that we serve, they're not used to going up and advocating for themselves, right? They're not used to, they used to call it an elevator pitch. You know, if you were on an elevator with someone, you had 30 seconds. What are you going to say about yourself to sell yourself? So we go over all of that with them, and then they get to practice, you know, with actual employer partners that they could secure a position with. But the follow-up is the big thing. You can't just send a resume, hope somebody gets it, right? You've got to be a little bit proactive. And I don't mean, because as a manager, I've had people in the past, they'll call 100 times, right? I'm like, okay. But, you know, give a follow-up call. If you've spoken with someone, send a thank you note. This is old school stuff. But hey, it still works in 2024. Absolutely.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. What are some key elements of a standout resume? We talk about resumes and we talk about, you know, getting those jobs and sending it through Indeed. And some of the reasons why sometimes we don't hear back from employers, your resume may not be a standout resume or it doesn't include a cover letter. So what are some key elements of a standout resume and cover letter in today's competitive job market?
So at the Opportunity Center, what we focus on is the resumes don't need to be flowery. They don't need to be 16 pages long. And a lot of times people get, you know, involved on that one platform with, you know, different job search websites. And it lists umpteen gazillion, you know, characteristics, responsibilities, things like that. Employers in 2024 going into 2025, they don't have time to sit down and look at all that. And if it's too wordy and too flowery, they're going to pass on that resume. They want to say in their head, I'm looking for someone with this skill set. They're looking for certain key words, dependable, team-oriented, focused, driven, things of that nature. And that's what's going to catch their eye. The average employer spends about 7 seconds looking at a resume. And unless you have something that's going to stand out, like those keywords, they're going to pass on it. And keep it to 1 page. Because those 3 and 4 page resumes with pictures and monograms and everything like we had, gosh, back when I was doing resumes, because I'm old as Methuselah. But, you know, those days are gone. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So keep it simple and to the point.
But
highlight, you know, those characteristics that's going to make you stand out.
I love that. Thank you so much. How has the rise of digital platforms, you know, such as LinkedIn, Indeed, changed the way people seek employment?
Yes. So everything is online now. So I'm not ashamed to say back in 1983, when I graduated from college, right? Back when dinosaurs roamed, you had to submit a paper application. You submitted a paper application, a resume, you went to that employer, and that's how you applied for work. Now they don't want to see you in front of them. They want to be able to see you on those digital platforms before they actually call you in. Yes. So individuals, especially people we serve that maybe have been incarceration for years, right? Been out of the workforce for years, to have to get on that digital platform and apply is scary, right? They don't know. Some of them, haven't even created an email, or they have 16 emails, but you can't get into any of them, right? So that's some of the things that we prepare them for in those work ready classes.
That's amazing.
Yes, because they're going to have to get comfortable and be able to navigate enough around that to apply for these jobs. Because if they go in and want to see a manager, 9 times out of 10, the manager is going to be too busy, to deal with them. And they say, go online and apply. But they don't know how to do that. So that's where we come into play, because we can help them with all that.
That's amazing. Those services are so needed in our community. Thank you so much for doing that.
No, you are very welcome.
Yes. So now we talked about seeking employment, right? And we're going to go into our second segment of securing those employment, right? So what are some common mistakes job seekers make during interviews, and how can they be avoided?
Okay. Not preparing for the interview. So it's tried and true. If you don't feel comfortable interviewing, you need to get in front of somebody and do a mock interview, right? They need to ask you some difficult questions. If you have gaps in your employment, you need to be able to articulate, why do you have these gaps? If you've been incarcerated, there's actually things that you've done while incarceration that can be parlayed into work skills, right? Talk about those, focus on those. Learn some advocacy skills, how to advocate for yourself. Watch your body language, because that's another big one. If you're slumped over and looking bored and, you don't look interested, that's going to be a turnoff for the employer. And research the company, because it's never good. And I always, when I do interviews myself, when I'm sitting across from someone and I say, do you have any questions for me? Is there anything else you would like to know from me? And they look at me and say, no, I'm good. I don't care if you think it's the silliest question in the world, ask it. Look up some facts about the company that you're interviewing for. Ask about benefits, anything that you can think of to keep a little more engagement in that conversation.
I love that.
And do active listening, be able to look somebody in the eye, a lot of times. And that's hard for some of the individuals we serve, because they don't have a lot of self-confidence. So that's one thing that we try to be really good about at the Opportunity Center, is being a cheerleader for our folks.
I love that.
And building that confidence up, before they go out into the workforce. And that's what we do through those programs and services.
Wow. You guys do a lot. That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's
all right. What advice would you give to someone who's struggling to land a job or a job offer, after several interviews? So they've gone out, they've interviewed a bunch, what can they do differently? What would you suggest that they do differently to land a job?
So we probably would need to take a look at the resume, right? What is it that, employers that's not making that resume stand out? Also, they need to maybe think, like I said earlier, about their body language and how they're interviewing. Sit in front of a mirror and answer questions and see how you look when you're answering questions. But first and foremost, don't give up, right? Don't give up. And it could be something as simple as maybe their salary requirements are too high, and that's knocking them out. Or, never put open to negotiation. You always want to kind of try to find out what is, the low point of this company's income. What's the high point? Go somewhere in the middle. Right. Do some research on that. It could be that. It could be that their education level maybe not be what the company's thinking it needs to be. So that might be something else too. So I would suggest that they get with a coach, a friend, and kind of get some constructive feedback on what they may be doing, right? Or not even realize they're doing. And a lot of those online platforms, there's certain key words that those algorithms pick up. And if you don't have those keywords, it's going to kick it out. Yeah, so all of that needs to be looked at, but don't give up. There's a job out there right now. There are so many jobs out there that if somebody is really wanting to work, there's a job for them.
I love that. I love that. All right, so now we've talked about two different segments: seeking employment, securing employment. Now they've gotten the job, right? Again, you've helped so many different people from a different demographic, right? Now you've let, Goodwill Opportunity Center help them to get those resumes and those interviews and all those things, right? Now they have a job. Let's talk about sustaining employment. So once someone has secured a job, what steps should they take to ensure they thrive in their new position?
Okay, well, that's a good one, because a lot of people, and I say this all the time, a lot of folks come in and they're like, oh yeah, I'm ready to work. Oh yeah, I want to go to work, but they're not work ready.
Right.
It all sounds good in theory, but they haven't really actually thought about what that's going to look like on the daily, right? Having to be someplace at a certain time, not being able to just say, I don't want to do this today and call in. So a big one is, find out the job expectations. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Part of being successful is just showing up. That's a big part of it. As an employer, how many times has people just not shown up? When they could have communicated while they're not there. Communication is another big thing. Communicate with your manager. Your managers are people just like you.
That's right.
Talk to them. Don't be afraid. You'll find that they're far more understanding if they know what's going on.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times that can help you keep that job. You only know what you know, right? Or what's the saying? You don't know what you don't know.
That's it.
Something like that. So make sure communication is open. Ask questions. Nobody's going to think that you're dumb or less than if you have a question. You're learning a brand new job, a brand new skill set. And technically, it takes someone at least a year to be really, really proficient at what they're doing. So don't be afraid to ask questions.
I love that. I love that. Oh, wow. Is there anything else that you would like to share about Goodwill Opportunity Center, or any other tips for those who are watching today?
Well, I want to say, everybody that's not familiar with the Goodwill Opportunity Center, please come and see us at 1601 Broadway, because for all of you all that are dedicated Goodwill shoppers and donors, 90 cents of every dollar that is made at a Goodwill store goes back into the community. And we are the mission side of Goodwill at the Opportunity Center. So the store is the money maker, we're the money spenders, and we're ready to pour that money back out in the community to help the individuals in Paducah and the surrounding counties. So please, if you have any questions, just give us a call, come by and see us. We'd be happy to sit down and talk about, what we can do to maybe make some positive changes in your lives. But if somebody has a desire to do just that, come and see us, because we're here for you. We'll support you.
You are amazing. And the work that you guys are doing in the community is so amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on this show today. But before we go, I want to highlight the sponsors once again. Our title sponsor, Evergreen's Plant Shop Coffee House and Wine Bar, located at 4677 Alben Barkley Drive here in Paducah, Kentucky. Evergreens strive to provide an experience as well as a great cup of coffee. So stop in for a great experience today. Our episode sponsor is Paducah Goodwill Opportunity Center, located at 1601 Broadway Street, Paducah, Kentucky. And of course, you've heard all the amazing services offered, including career coaching, resume help, employment readiness training and certification, legal and expungement services, financial and budgeting support, just to name a few. Where can you find Voice Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast? You can watch us on YouTube. You can listen on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Music. We have a Facebook group, a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and a TikTok. So definitely connect with us on social media as well, Voice Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast. So thank you again for this amazing resource and information that you've shared, Margie. Margie, seeking, securing, and sustaining employment is something that we know community members struggle with every single day. So I appreciate you coming out of the building.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And
Thank
coming
you.
onto my hot seat today. I appreciate you so very much. Thank you again.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you, Danette.
Yes,
Thank you.
Definitely. And always let us know how Loop Hilarious and Voice Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast can always support you guys' mission there, because you guys are doing an amazing work here in our community.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. It's been a great episode. I've been your host. My name is Danette Mahabeer-Turner, and I'll see you on the next episode. God bless you.